Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our panel. Special thanks to the five of you that reached out and that I was able to meet with in the last few weeks. Mr. Gorman, I'm looking forward to doing that in the future with you. I found the meetings to be productive, frank, and even encouraging. So thank you all for that. You've answered a lot of questions today about your ESG policies. I think there's been some clarification. I'm gonna try to ask some real specific questions that might help inform me a little more. First question I'd have for all of you is: do you think U.S. energy investment, um, or do you think that reliable energy, reliable electricity is important to the United States economy? And you only have to answer if you say no. Is reliable energy important to our economy? So let me ask this. Do you think global energy demand is going down? Does anybody think global energy demand is going down? Okay. Let me ask this specific question to you, Ms. Fraser. Does Citigroup have a coal reduction policy, or do you have a carbon reduction policy?
Um, we have a policy which is reflective of a risk-based assessment on the coal sector. We see declining demand. We also take into account reputation and other risk factors when we make a decision as to where we're going to be financing and not. Where we have a focus on helping them support our clients decarbonize, but are very mindful that there's a very important balance here between energy policy and the economy, and making sure that that transition achieves both goals.
Well, I always like hearing the word transition. I believe that the United States of America is the solution in the transition factor. I submit to you that there is global demand is increasing, and that many of the policies that my friends on the left want to promote simply transfer their climate guilt to other countries. And I just would submit that investing in the fossil energy sector in the United States of America is the single best way to lower carbon emissions globally, while working with the innovators in those industries to reduce it. So words matter. So when a policy says, we won't invest anymore in anybody that uses more than 5% coal generated electricity, I would say, well, what if that coal generated electricity actually has zero emissions, 10 years from now because of technology? So I just want you to know that the words actually do matter as you're learning today. I also know that the voices in your guys' ears are the left. It is the woke crowd, or it's the environmental extremist crowd that's speaking through proxies or speaking through their institutional investors. And I just want you to know that I'm going to be the voice on, another voice in your ear, pointing out some other things. Let me ask. I'll ask any one of you, I guess, can answer this. When you consider, for example, the risk of investing in a large server farm. Let's just say Amazon comes to you and says, we're going to build a large server farm in a city where you have a big bank, and we'd like to borrow, $300 million for that server farm. Do you consider whether or not that server farm is going to have 24-hour a day, 7-day a week electricity, redundant and reliable electricity? Mr. Solomon, would that be a consideration in an investment like that?
I think, Senator, I appreciate the question. I think when we look at any transaction with any company, the people that evaluate credit and risk think about a broad array of risks. And so in looking at something like that, certainly they'd be thinking about power source and how that worked in terms of making a credit decision. It would be one of many factors that would be considered. The biggest factor, if you're doing something for Amazon, would simply be the overriding credit of Amazon as, the largest company, one of the largest companies in the United States.
Certainly, and I use Amazon because they are large, and because they do have large server farms, and server farms require a lot of electricity, but they can't have the lights go out. And regardless of what the fuel source is, I would submit to you that you just can't have the lights go out. And my point is maybe Mr. Diamond, you could wrap up with me on this. My point is, I think we have this tendency suddenly in our culture today, for whatever reason, to think that energy is an industry sector over here, and we can just sort of set that aside over there, and just manufacturing, transportation, infrastructure, the tech industry, all that we can still deal with over here, and we simply cannot. And so here's my pledge to you all: I want to help you be part of the solution to this transition that we talk about of lower emissions. And I would say that's going to involve a lot of investment in the United States of America's energy sector, including fossil energy.